The anime begins by showing an online match of B2M, where a team of red armored players are against a player in silver armor. The silver player is strategically ambushed by a red armored player and is blown up with a bomb, leading to the latter's victory. The text "Your team win" appears and Ryota Sakamoto is shown to be sitting in front of a computer. After the win, Sakamoto earns 4 stars, elevating his worldwide ranking on the B2M game from 11th to 10th. He and his teammates are then challenged by the player who is ranked 2nd worldwide. Sakamoto narrates that B2M is a game which has sold 3 million copies around the world, where the weapons used are only bombs. There are 8 varieties of these bombs, otherwise referred to as BIMs, and the players in the game also have access to a sonar for detecting their enemies. He then says that he is 22, unemployed, and spends his days doing nothing but playing B2M. He remarks that in the online world of B2M, he was content, having married someone in-game, and was considered one of the strongest and most respected player by others. After that, the scene shifts to a forest where Sakamoto is attached to a parachute and is hanging from a tree branch. He breaks out of the parachute jacket and falls to the ground below, feeling confused as he cannot remember how he arrived at the forest. The place where he is and sees the phone was no signal. After that, he sees an IC chip embedded on his left hand. Sakamoto then trods on his bag and picks it up, along with a white hip pouch, and makes his way out of the forest. After that, he finds himself on a beach. Then a flashback begins, where Sakamoto is shown to be angry at his mother when she tried to get him a job at the grocery store. After Sakamoto leaves the grocery store, he is approached by 2 men wearing black suits. Back at the beach, Sakamoto realizes his memories are returning, but only vaguely. Then he shifts his focus to the white hip pouch, removing one of the cubes which was in the pouch. He presses a button on the cube and a countdown begins. He throws the cube away from himself before the countdown's completion. Then he realizes that the cubes are in fact bombs. He decides to leave the BIMs and he is approached by a man who Sakamoto mistakes as a friendly person. The man throws a BIM at Sakamoto, and Sakamoto is thrown clear from the BIM's explosion. As he gets up, Sakamoto deduces that he has to now play a real-life version of B2M, and grabs his white pouch containing the BIMs as he escapes into the forest and arrives at a cliff edge. The man continues to pursue Sakamoto and throws BIMs at him. Sakamoto begins to retaliate and throw his own BIMs back at the man, failing twice as he is not aware that his BIMs are timer BIMs. Then he confronts the man, asking questions concerning the BIM usage, IC chip, and the reason as to why he is being attacked. This elicits a laugh from the man, who refuses to answer Sakamoto's questions, and again throws a BIM at Sakamoto. Sakamoto escapes and tries to surrender but is unsuccessful. As he is hiding in the bushes, Sakamoto is made aware that the IC chip acts as a radar, so hiding is pointless. He also realizes that his BIMs will only explode once the countdown on the BIMs get to 0. The man decides to throw 2 cracker BIMs simultaneously at the bushes and the rock crevice, as he is unable to deduce Sakamoto's location. However, before the man can throw his BIMs, Sakamoto yells out and runs towards the cliff edge from his hiding place and jumps off. The man follows and stands on the edge of the cliff, calling Sakamoto an idiot. As Sakamoto is swimming away, he does a countdown, where it is then shown that Sakamoto had planted one of his timer BIMs at the edge of the cliff before he jumped. As the countdown reaches 0, an explosion occurs, killing the man. Upon witnessing the man's corpse sinking into the ocean, Sakamoto is mortified and tries to justify his actions as self-defense, and he gets back to shore. After that, he spies the man's BIM's pouches which have washed ashore, and concludes that he must take them to continue in this real-life game of B2M. The crowd roars for Ryota Sakamoto and his team's recent winnings, and Himiko says Ryota is so talented. Sakamoto spots Himiko all by herself and asks if she's waiting for someone. He asks her if she wants to play, and Himiko declines. In a flashback, Miho explains to Himiko that her brothers hogged the games. Himiko tells her that she have those things. Himiko shares to Miho about Ryota, who she just met online, while the two dress up for their cosplay photo. In the booth, the 2 girls smile in their B2M. On the streets, Miho teases Himiko and tells her to send the photo to Ryota. At school, Himiko narrates that she is a normal high school girl and sometimes she plays online games until that incident occurred. Back at the beach, she finds bombs in her bag and she wonders if she has to kill people in order to escape. She finds some shade to rest for a moment. Himiko is alarmed to see some men near her. Isamu Kondo asks her to join their group. Later, the guys eat some fish, and Masashi Miyamoto comments that they may have to play the game to get off the island. Isamu replies that they should work together. Masashi grabs Himiko. Masashi asks Isamu if he wants to do the right thing by letting him kill Isamu, or becoming a hypocrite by killing both Himiko and him. Himiko stuns Masashi to get free. Mitsuo Akechi tries to calm them down by telling them to pick a leader, and he drops his BIM bag. When the two guys ask Akechi who will be the leader, Akechi replies it will be Himiko. Everyone agrees and throws down their bags. When see the airplane and drop something, the group finds a briefcase where they eat the food. Isamu arrives and tells them to divide it in small portions to not waste food. From behind, Masashi slits Isamu's throat and his blood splatters over Himiko. Back on the island, Akechi asks Himiko to leave with him. He urges her to take all the food and BIM. In the forest, he detects Masashi who is running after them, and as they run. Later they arriving to the bridge, Himiko tells Akechi to hurry, but Akechi is too afraid. When Masashi tries to charge at Akechi, Akechi throws his BIM that destroys the foliage and the surroundings. On the run, Akechi urges Himiko to kill in order to survive. And when Akechi will not let go of Himiko's hands, Himiko punches Akechi. Akechi tries to hug Himiko until she is stunned by her taser. Back at the island, Himiko wonders this is her punishment. Feeling drops of sweat dripped on her, she finds Akechi above her. Akechi leaps and knocks Himiko and her taser on the ground. With Himiko's defenses down, Himiko activates a timer BIM. She thinks to herself that she rather died before losing her virginity. Akechi quickly runs, and Himiko throws the BIM at Akechi whose body falls into the river. By the waterfall, Himiko thinks to herself that all men are her enemies, and then Ryota meets her. Himiko looks at him in fear. As Himiko packs her bag and leave, Ryota Sakamoto tries to chase after her into the forest where he uses his radar. Instead of finding Himiko, he finds Kiyoshi Tara taking a dump in the bush. Tara gets startled by Ryota and begs Ryota to let him go. When Tara mentions about a game, Ryota demands an explanation, and Tara tells him to put down his BIM. Moments later by the river, Tara explains to Ryota about several men rounding a group of people on a cargo plane. On the screen, a man with a cap greets everyone, and he explains that the plane's destination is an island in the Pacific. When the crowd gets rowdy, the soldiers show their tasers. The man tells them about the BIMs, and when the others protest, the soldiers stun one man. After the man explains that the only way to get off the island is to collect 8 IC chips. Ryota speaks out and comments that they cannot distinguish between reality and video gaming. Tara states that Ryota knew the man on the screen. Then, one of the men shocks Ryota. Later, the soldiers has the players strap on parachutes and they force the players into jumping off the plane. With Tara's story done, Ryota starts to remember how he got here on the island, and he wonders why the game is so similar to B2M. He suspects that Tyrannos Japan's game developers are behind this ordeal, but he is not sure. Sakamoto wonders if he can kill 7 people to get off the island. Tara asks Ryota if he wants to work together with him. Ryota thinks that they have to kill 14 people, and he asks Tara if he's going to kill people. Tara replies that he would look for alternative solution, and when Ryota asks Tara to show him his BIM in exchange to work together, Tara declines. Tara explains that he will not be able to trust Ryota and that they should respect each other's trump cards. After thinking for a moment, Ryota accepts to work with Tara without any conditions. When the two hear something, Ryota spots cargo falling from the planes. He goes off to find the goods, but a woman grabs it first. Suddenly, a mine BIM detonates near her. A mysterious man takes out Hojo's IC chip and her belongings. Ryota is horrified and thought if he got there earlier, he would end up just like the woman. Elsewhere on the island, Masashi, a man, and a younger woman are seen running around. Moments later, Tara arrives, and then he sees the corpse of the woman nearby. Ryota points over to the parachuted goods in the forest, and Tara tells him that they need to get the food. In times like these, they cannot do their best and survive without food. Tara manages to cheer up Ryota when he sees Ryota chuckling a bit. The two go down the cliff and towards the goods. In the forest, Ryota instructs Tara how to use his radar, and the two stumbled upon a ghastly scene where they see a bloody body near a young man. The police take pictures of a grisly rape scene. The man reads a report about Kira who killed and raped 3 women. He informs his partner that Soichi is going to be Kira's lawyer and that Kira is laughing inside the room. On day 2, Soichi finds Kira killing frogs. Soichi explains to Kira that it's bad to kill living things for fun. Kira wonders why it's wrong when it isn't bothering anyone. Then, the two spot an airplane passing by and dropping a briefcase. Moments later, Yasuhisa, Kira, and Soichi find the briefcase in the tree. Kira's father kicks Kira and takes Kira's BIM. When it doesn't work, Yasuhisa has his son activate the BIM. When Soichi asks Yasuhisa to split the food, Yasuhisa reminds him that the strongest survive here. When Yasuhisa hears Kira mumbling, he grabs Kira's groin and squeezes it. As Kira recalls his father kicking him for ditching school, Kira slaps his BIM on his father's chest. Kira marvels over the first time he has fought back his father as he shares with Soichi. Kira asks Soichi if he will be with him. Soichi freaks out and calls Kira a freak before running off in fear. Then, Ryota and Taira arrive on scene and discovers Kira. When Ryota fails to talk Kira, Kira takes his father's BIMs. Ryota and Taira make a run for it. Ryota confronts Kira to buy some time for Taira to escape. Both Ryota and Kira watch each other moves by using radar. Meanwhile, Taira takes the IC chip from Yasuhisa's body. Kira chases Ryota and jumps down the rocky hill. He almost gets hit by the Ryota's timer BIM. Kira throws his implosion BIM. Ryota manages to avoid getting hit by it by throwing his bag at it. Kira heckles Ryota and locates him when Ryota talks back. He manages to hit Ryota with his BIM. Ryota snaps himself out and blocks Kira's implosion BIM with an empty pouch. Kira gets hit by Ryota's timer BIM and cannot sense where Ryota is using his radar. He realizes that Ryota is canceling his radar with his own radar at the same time. Ryota gets behind Kira and tosses a cracker BIM at him. After that, he sees Kira is still alive and freaks out at what he was going to do. After the credits, Ryota regains his composure and ties Kira on a tree. Ryota also has taken his BIM bag and supplies case and left and revealed his name to the boy. Then he realized he was ranked in the top 10 worldwide on the online game B2M. Kira gets highly excited with this. While Taira and Ryota eat some ramen from the case they had recovered, Taira thanks Ryota for saving his life. Meanwhile, Hisanobu finds his wife, Yuki, who had attempted suicide, slitting her wrist and putting her hand in the bathtub. Yuki blames herself for sending Ryota to the island on which the real version of B2M is being played. Back at the river, Ryota and Taira find a dead body drifting down the waterfall. Taira tells Ryota to leave him due to his broken leg. Ryota tells Taira that he will take a look past the waterfall while Taira hides. In the forest, Ryota finds a dead body decaying. Once out of the forest, he finds Himiko standing on a cliff. Himiko throws a BIM at the forest and it unleashes a searing gas that melts a part of the forest. When Ryota runs out of the forest, he finds her standing in front of him. Ryota realizes that she had used the BIM to lure him out of the forest. Ryota tries to talk his way out. However, she throws a BIM at Ryota as he is walking towards her. She screams out that all men are her enemies. Ryota tries to charge at Himiko, and he dodges her taser. When Ryota falls down, he kicks Himiko so her taser hits her case. As a result, Himiko stuns herself unconscious. Moments later, Himiko wakes up and finds herself being carried by Ryota. Himiko activates a timer BIM, thinking that she will have her purity removed. But Ryota deactivates it. While Himiko cries, Ryota takes pity on her. That night, Taira hands Himiko a hot bowl of ramen and assures Himiko that they will not hurt her. Then Himiko explains that people they know had picked them to be on this island for doing something wrong. Ryota and Taira refuse to believe Himiko's answers, but she makes them remember of what they had done in the past that may have made others nominate them. Ryota realizes that his mother had chosen him to die. Taira tells them to not give up and assure them that they will fix things when they get back home. Then, Taira and the group hear a rustling sound in the bushes and they suspect another player. However, nothing shows up on the radar. It turns out that there were Komodo dragons arriving near them. As the group walks slowly away in the water from the Komodo dragons, Ryota Sakamoto tells Kiyoshi Taira to take Himiko to safety while he gets the BIM and supplies. Ryota jumps up in the air and slams the lizard with a huge rock. When Taira urges him to hurry, Ryota throws a cracker BIM that didn't explode. He realizes that only the owner can use them or the person who killed the owner when recalling Kira. Taira gets bitten on the right leg, and Ryota manages to drive away the lizards with a BIM. Moments later, the group march through the river slowly due to Taira's injured legs and Ryota, who is carrying Himiko on his back. Ryota asks Taira if he wants to stop to treat the wound. Taira asks Ryota why he didn't abandon them, and says that no one would blame him for doing it. Ryota asks Taira if he's testing him, and Taira replies that he is scared when thinking that Ryota would abandon them. He thinks back to what Himiko said earlier about people picking them to die on this island. Then, the lizards attacked. Ryota loses sight of Taira. With Ryota losing his mind and thinking the worst, Ryota tries using his sonar multiple times, and he yells out at Terra. Then, a lizard approaches Ryota, and a flying BIM hovers and detonates the lizard. Terra arrives, and Ryota realizes that their sonars may have cancelled out. Back on the trail, Terra tells Ryota that he believed in him and saved his life. He smiles back at Ryota. With the sea breeze flowing by, the group find an abandoned building. Terra helps Ryota climb the ladder, but the ladder's piece breaks, causing them to fall on the ground. Terra tells Ryota to get Himiko up to a safe spot while he buys some time using his BIM. Ryota wakes up Himiko, and he thinks they want him to betray his own friends. He smiles like a maniac, and Terra looks back in horror when he sees Ryota climbing up. Terra loses his sanity, yet Ryota throws a BIM that unleashes a devastating gas that burns the foliage and the lizards. Ryota explains that he made Himiko press the button and that the sea breeze is spreading the gas. With dawn breaking, Himiko wakes up to the corner. Terra starts to feel dizzy and collapses to the sharp pain on his right leg. Later that night, Ryota urges Himiko to help him pin Terra so they can treat him. Himiko reluctantly assists Ryota. After that, Ryota sees Himiko looking at her photo, and he asks her if she is into cosplay. Himiko kicks Ryota, and she states that she is not going to work with them. She says she does not trust men at all. Ryota replies that she has to explain herself given the fact she has all those supplies and BIM. While Himiko cries a bit, Ryota tells her that she's under their suspicions. Then, a sonar is detected, and Himiko states they might have found her. When Himiko volunteers to leave the place, Ryota insists that he will draw their attention. As Ryota searches for the enemy in the forest, he gets attacked by Masashi. The man is revealed to be Masashi Miyamoto, and he pursues the fleeing Ryota. After jumping off the cliff's edge, Ryota wonders why the man chose to attack using a knife instead of his BIMs. Masashi arrives and a confrontation ensues between the two. Suddenly, a timer BIM is thrown at Ryota from behind. Ryota jumps to dodge the explosion, and Soichi Natsume is seen standing at the forest's edge. As Ryota realizes that Masashi and Soichi are working together, Masashi knocks Ryota out. Soichi rummages through Ryota's BIM bag and remarks that Ryota is a murderer after seeing that Ryota's bag contains 3 BIM types. Shocking Soichi with a stun gun, Ryota makes his escape. Soichi tells Masashi to go after Ryota, but Masashi says that he intentionally let Ryota go, as he realizes Ryota has allies. Although Ryota takes the longest route back to the abandoned building, Masashi is still able to track him and makes his appearance as Himiko is about to leave Ryota and Terra. Masashi says that he knew Himiko was with Ryota after he saw Ryota use the stun gun and demands that she return the BIMs and food which she took. Noticing Mitsuo's absence, Masashi assumes that Himiko killed him and has his IC chip. Himiko denies having the chip, and Masashi says that he will strip search her if he has to, scaring Himiko and prompting Ryota to confront him. As Masashi is about to stab Ryota, Terra jumps from behind and tries to grab him, but Masashi dodges and slices off Terra's left hand's fingers. Ryota tries to attack Masashi with the stun gun. Masashi kicks Ryota off the ledge and presumably into the ocean. Making his way back to the ledge on the abandoned building, Ryota falls to his knees in despair after hearing from a bloodied and crying Terra that Masashi has taken Himiko. Seeing Himiko's cell phone wallpaper, Ryota makes the connection that the Himiko which was taken by Masashi is also the Himiko he married on the online game of B2M. From this, Ryota gains newfound hope. Despite Terra begging for Ryota to not leave him, Ryota chooses to leave and save Himiko, promising that he will return. At another abandoned building, Himiko is tied down to a bed. After provoking Masashi, he cuts her arm but is interrupted when both him and Soichi detect a radar signal. Himiko responds with 2 signals and another 2 signals is given in response. Before Masashi and Soichi split up, Soichi ingests some medicine which appear to make him more confident and sadistic. Meanwhile, Ryota makes it to the room with Himiko, and as he opens the door, a cracker BIM falls. However, Ryota notices it and catches it, then disables it. As Ryota was the one who disabled the cracker BIM, it now belongs to him. When Himiko sees Ryota, she sheds tears of joy. As Ryota unties Himiko, as the two escape, they are detected by Masashi. Masashi and Soichi split up, with Soichi running off whilst muttering the law amendment on self-defense. Throwing BIM after BIM at Ryota, which all miss, Soichi chases Ryota, all the time assuming Ryota is unarmed. Before running into a doorway, Ryota throws the cracker BIM which hits and kills Soichi. Upon hearing a gasp, Ryota looks and sees Himiko being held at knife point by Masashi. Masashi throws a knife to the ground to lure out Ryota. When Masashi moves away from the knife, Ryota sees it as a chance to grab the knife. However, Masashi ambushes Ryota and delivers a kick to his abdomen. Ryota is thrown backwards and Masashi runs up to him and delivers more blows. The knife falls out of Ryota's hands, landing point down dangerously close to Ryota's face. As Masashi bends Ryota's arm backwards, Ryota contemplates on his life which was wasted on games, and he wished that he could have had the chance to meet the real Himiko. At that moment, Himiko jumps on Masashi but is immediately thrown off. Himiko yells out for Ryota to run, and Masashi realizes Himiko activated a burning gas BIM which is attached to a BIM pouch that Masashi is carrying. Before Masashi can throw it away from himself, the BIM explodes. Both Ryota and Himiko are shown running away but reach a dead end. Ryota spies an opening above and using the wall as a step, he reaches the opening and gets through. As he pulls Himiko up with him, a severely disfigured Masashi grabs onto Himiko. As Masashi is holding on too tightly to Himiko, Ryota throws down a timer BIM. Thinking that he has 10 seconds to disarm the BIM, Masashi goes to pick it up. By now, he realizes that it was one of Soichi's BIM which was set to 3 seconds. Holding onto each other on the floor above, in an embrace, Ryota and Himiko brace themselves as the BIM explodes. After the explosion, Himiko and Ryota break apart, both seemingly embarrassed by the embrace. Elsewhere, Jemu Shuseisha is giving a talk to other people who are displayed on screens, saying that Ryota has won against the more strongly favored Masashi, and that the game has balanced out after the 3rd round. Himiko recalls her days of playing video games, and Ryota Sakamoto asks her to play with him. As she declines his offer, Ryota grabs her hand and tells her that he will stay with her. Outside of the game, Himiko sheds tears over Ryota's words. Back in the present, Ryota stares at the 3 IC chips in his bloody hand. He grips his hands as he tries not to cry. Elsewhere on the island, a young man tells a younger woman that he will protect her, while the man stares at the pack of lizards down the cliff. The younger woman shoves the man off the ledge. The man gets mauled by the Komodo dragons, and the woman drops a BIM that detonates the man at a group of lizards. The woman states that she will survive no matter what she does. At Tyrannos, Japan, Jemu Shuseisha comments on how people can easily betray each other to survive. And the CEO asks about the imaging which is done in 3D modeling. The CEO praises Jemu and tells him to keep fine-tuning the project. Back at Masashi's hideout that night, Ryota opens Himiko's briefcase and hands her some food and a fresh shirt. He looks at the B2M shirt and finds it deplorable. While Ryota exits the room to get changed, Himiko quickly puts on her new shirt. Ryota comes in the room and tells Himiko that he will sleep in the other room. Himiko tells Ryota that she is scared, and Ryota remarks that he is fine sleeping with her, which Himiko thinks Ryota is implying something else. Before the two sleep, she creates a barrier to separate them. Suddenly, she wakes up to a ghastly woman looming over her face. Himiko shrieks, and Ryota quickly checks his surroundings with his radar. He says that Himiko had a bad dream, and Himiko states that the person had a flashlight. Ryota uses his radar a couple of times. With nothing coming up, he asks Himiko to check the bottom floor while he checks the top. Ryota thinks he is in a booby trap when he sees a room that is occupied recently. From behind, a woman tries to strike Ryota with a sickle. With Ryota on the ground, he kicks and knocks out the woman. Ryota comes by to get Himiko, who struck Ryota with a flashlight after being alarmed by him. In the woman's room, the woman wakes up and starts kicking. She shouts at Ryota to get out, and after Ryota leaves the room, the woman introduced as Shiki Murasaki tells Himiko that she has no BIM. She also tells Himiko to not trust any men. Himiko replies that Ryota has saved her several times and she has known him earlier. Though, Shiki explains her story to her to enforce her statement that everyone only cares for themselves. And then Shiki informs Himiko to be careful when she and Ryota obtain the 6th chip. Later, Himiko explains all she knows to Ryota, who formulates a plan to hijack the helicopter. Though, Himiko does not tell Ryota about what happened with the 6th chip or her true identity. Afterwards, Shiki instructs Himiko and Ryota to take the mountain path to head back to the observatory point. Meanwhile, the same doctor is present at Ryota's hideout with a Terra whose hand has been bandaged. Back at the observatory point, Dati explains to Terra that he is a doctor who took care of his injuries. Once Ryota and Himiko arrive, Ryota demands Dati to explain himself. Dati states that he just treated Terra's wounds since it's a doctor's duty to help save lives. As Terra and Himiko trust the doctor's words, Ryota apologizes. After that, Ryota asks Dati to show him his BIMs in order for them to trust Dati. Ryota finds out about the new BIM that can be detonated via remote control. He reveals to Dati that he has 3 chips, which shocks both Himiko and Terra. Then, an airplane passes by the island. Ryota tells Terra that they will get some food. Dati could not believe his mind and finds this as his lucky day. Elsewhere on the island, Ryota and his group chase down the supplies, and they sense a radar from nearby groups. A total of 6 combatants. As Ryota's group runs towards the parachuted briefcase, Ryota finds the same man with sunglasses chasing the same briefcase. The two attempt to jump after it only to fall over the slope. On the rebound, both of them throw cracker BIMs at each other. Meanwhile, Hidemi and Himiko yell out for their comrades while noticing each other's presence. Hidemi attacks Himiko and manages to knock out Himiko with a kick. She drops a timer BIM on her chest and an explosion occurs. Back at Ryota's location, Dati grabs the trunk and Oda throws the blazing gas BIM. Dati releases the case and detonates it. The briefcase falls down the slope where Ryota catches it. In the forest, Hidemi gets surprised by Himiko, who manages to stun Hidemi. Himiko states that she has the advantage since Hidemi only has timer BIM while she has cracker BIM. Later, a 1300 degrees Celsius flammable oil splashing flame BIM flies towards Ryota where it scorches the ground. Nearby, Kira tells Tomoki to keep attacking. With Ryota trapped in the fire, Oda leaps into the flames and kicks Ryota down. Oda quickly takes the briefcase and jumps into the sea. Back in the forest, Hidemi insults Himiko, and when Himiko attacks Hidemi, Hidemi manages to catch Himiko off guard and binds her from the back. As Himiko remembers Ryota, who was always there by her side, Himiko manages to flip Hidemi and throws her off. Hidemi grabs her metal pole, but Himiko shocks Hidemi only to find the voltage dwindling. While Hidemi grabs Himiko's head and slams her to the ground repeatedly, a BIM is tossed at Himiko and Hidemi. Dati is frustrated that Himiko is alive, and Dati decides to play the nice guy, but Himiko realizes that Dati was trying to kill her. On the beach, Ryota spots an old man on shore while concealing himself behind the rocks in the shallow area of the sea. The old man notices the briefcase, and when he picks it up, a BIM detonates below him, instantly killing him. Oda picks the IC chip from the deceased man, and Ryota comes out of his hiding spot. Ryota demands Oda to drop the goods, the BIMs, and the chips. He is suspicious why Oda is so calm, and he orders Oda to walk away. He tries to figure out Oda's plan, and Ryota realizes that it's a booby trap rigged with the remote control BIMs. Ryota asks Oda to reveal his palms, and after Oda reveals his empty hands, Ryota carefully walks towards the goods. Oda bites on the buttons and detonates the BIMs. Oda waves his hands to use his radar. He saw Ryota was still alive. Gemu Shuseisha and his employees watch Ryota Sakamoto and Nobitaka Oda's battle closely, and when Ryota tries to get the goods, an explosion occurs. The others think Oda won, but Gemu points to them that Ryota tricked Oda by making it seem like he walked up to the goods. Oda sees from his left eye, so his depth perception is messed up. Ryota tosses a cracker BIM into the smoke, and he uses his radar where he finds Oda near the dead man. Oda takes the old man's BIM and tosses it when he sees Ryota jumping into the sea via his radar. In the forest, Himiko hears an explosion and Masahito Dati stops her from going. At the beach, Oda asks Ryota if he's the Ryota he knows. After confirming it, he walks away, and Ryota demands Oda to tell him how does he know his name. Ryota hears Kira laughing, and Kira, who is on a cliff, reveals a BIM belt that he has stolen. After Kira bids farewell, Ryota just falls on his back, disappointed at himself. Then, Himiko and Dati arrive to find Ryota. Himiko embraces Ryota, and when Ryota feels embarrassed, he pushes her away since he has not taken a bath yet. At a wooden shack, Hidemi complains about the food that has melted plastic, and Oda tells her that she does not have to eat after calling her Hideko. Hidemi reminds Oda of her name, and while Oda stares at Hidemi's head, he playfully calls her forehead woman. Oda reassures her that they're partners and Hidemi blushes a bit. Back at the observatory point, Ryota remembers Oda. In his flashback, he describes that Oda excelled at sports, music, and everything. He notes Oda is very popular with everyone, especially the girls. Oda feels that he was the only one whom Oda can be open with since both Oda and Ryota have similar backgrounds such as having only a mother at home. Back in the present, Ryota wonders if Oda will be his enemy, and as he cooks some curry gruel, Dati is frustrated that he has to share his food with them. When Ryota thanks Dati, Dati mentions that they can get food tomorrow, and Himiko gets suspicious on how Dati knows. Ryota believes Dati's words, which makes Himiko concerned. Moments later, Ryota feeds Tara curry, and Dati feels Tara's pressure, which is dwindling. Dati informs Ryota that the Komodo dragon's venom is making Tara bleed. Himiko calls Ryota to speak with her in private. Outside, Himiko tells Ryota that they should get medicine at Murasaki's place, and Ryota states that they should bring Dati. While Dati feeds Tara, he is angry about wasting food on Tara, who he believes is almost dead. Then, Ryota calls Dati to come with him, and Tara asks Ryota if he is going to leave him again. Ryota reassures Tara that he is coming back. On the way, Himiko tells Ryota what has happened to her and believes Dati is dangerous. Ryota thinks Himiko should trust Dati, and Himiko is frustrated with how Ryota easily trusts people. In front of the medicine depot, Himiko decides to go to Murasaki by herself, and after the two make up a lie to Dati, who is suspicious, the group split up to find the medicine. Through the halls, Dati looks around and finds old medicine. He pretends to put random bottles into the briefcase. Ryota arrives to see Dati, who asks Ryota to trust him. After Ryota receives the briefcase, Ryota senses something wrong, and when Ryota uses his radar to signal Himiko, Himiko pops out of the window. Himiko urges Ryota to throw away the briefcase because it's booby-trapped. Then, Dati presses the button and Ryota gets caught in the explosion. Himiko is at a loss with Ryota being gone, and Dati asks Himiko how she knew about his trap. He slowly walks towards her. Before Dati can throw the BIM, Shiki attacks Dati in the back with a sickle. Shiki tries to snap Himiko out of it, and she flees with her. Dati detonates his BIM. Himiko trips where her blunder saved both Shiki and Himiko's lives. Climbing out of the window, Dati confronts Shiki from another rooftop. Shiki tells Dati that she already knows his strategy, and Dati states that he will kill them. Shiki tosses a cracker BIM at Dati after Himiko presses the button. She walks along the rooftop while commenting how God brought them together again. When Dati pretends to run away, Shiki gives chase, and Dati detonates the wall near Shiki. With Shiki falling down, Dati walks towards Himiko's location. Himiko finds herself in despair upon reflecting on her struggle to survive without Ryota, who is always there for her. She cries while regretting not telling Ryota that she is that Himiko. When Dati asks Himiko to team up with him, Himiko declines and states that he would betray her just like how he did with Shiki. After that, Dati throws the cracker BIM at Himiko. The BIM bounces off Himiko's large and ample bosom. Dati realizes that he cannot press the button, and when he uses the radar, he sees Ryota alive. 5 minutes earlier, Ryota throws the briefcase across the room and jumps into a cellar. Ryota picks up the BIM that Dati has thrown and states that his old naive self is gone. Ryota tells Dati that he only has his remote-controlled BIMs while Himiko is fully armed and he has one BIM. Dati makes a run for it and lures Ryota near the trap he has set up. He looks at the pile of boards where he has hidden his trap. Once Dati presses the button, Ryota informs Dati that he has moved the trap. The wall near Dati detonates and knocks out Dati in the process. Himiko asks Ryota if he is going to kill Dati, and Ryota gives his reasons that Date cannot be with them anymore. Shiki appears and tells them not to dirty their hands since this is her battle. Shiki tells Dati that he used others like tools and disposes them. As she puts the sickle close to Date's neck, Dati apologizes to Shiki. Shiki cries and tells Dati not to look at him. She swings her sickle only to hit the floor. Dati asks Shiki if she forgives him, and Shiki cries out that she cannot. Later, Himiko takes a shower and tells Ryota not to peek since she has him on bodyguard duty. Ryota tells Himiko that he does not understand why Shiki spared Dati's life. Elsewhere in the forest, Ryota checks Akechi's body only to find no chip on his hand, and Ryota states that all the chips are gone. On the way back, Ryota realizes that Tara is attacking them. When Ryota hears something, he spots the homing BIM that chases him. He trips and grabs a metal pole and uses it to hit the BIM. Ryota realizes that Tara is attacking them and demands Tara to stop. Ryota smacks another homing BIM only to have the BIM fall on the ground where it detonates within its target. Himiko rushes to Ryota's side. She recalls what Shiki had told her earlier. Ryota uses his radar to find Tara and wonders why Tara is attacking them. When Himiko protects Ryota, Ryota recognizes that Himiko is indeed the same Himiko from Bituum from her stance. Ryota uses his radar and spots Tara running away. Ryota calls out for Tara and begs him to come back. Tara trips and falls down where the Komodo dragons surround him. He apologizes to Ryota, Himiko, his son, and his wife before targeting himself with the homing BIM. Later that night, Ryota cries and mourns Terra's death. After that, when Himiko hears that Ryota wants to leave the island, she gives Ryota the chips including hers to let him leave the island. She asks Ryota to kill her. Ryota refuses to sacrifice Himiko and acknowledges her as the Himiko avatar from the game. In the middle of the night, both of them hold hands before kissing. Ryota pushes Himiko on the couch and notices Himiko is quivering with fear due to her recent incidents. Oda appears in Ryota's mind and taunts Ryota. Ryota shuts up Oda and blames himself for Terra's death. Ryota tells Himiko that they will get home together and do things together as a couple. This is the end of the video. Thanks for watching.